I can hear you, ma'am. I can hear you.
Now I have made both of you as co-host.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry for bothering them. Sorry.
It's okay. No problem. It's done, no?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Bharath. You could join, no? Ma'am has allowed you, Shalini, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Bharath. Welcome to the session.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, Sandeep.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope you all had a good lunch.
Yeah.
Sunita, ma'am, shall we start the session or wait for 2 minutes more?
We'll wait for 1-2 minutes. That's it. We'll start by 2:05.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. We'll start the session, Vatsala.
Yes, ma'am. We'll start. So, good afternoon, everybody present here. I hope you had a good lunch. So, we are going to have a session by Mr. Bharath Ravi on web application framework using Angular. So, Mr. Bharath Ravi is an MCA alumnus, our MCA alumnus, and he's working as a senior software engineer. He was working actually in digital insurance. Right now, he's in Toronto Software. That's what he did, Toronto Technologies. He has been a front-end developer previously, and Mr. Bharat is expertise in Angular, Aurelia, Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other technologies and applications or platforms like Agile, Jira, Git, Confluence, Figma, etc. His core competencies include front-end development, software development, and web development and responsive web design. He also possesses soft skills like problem solving skills, planning, critical thinking, and multitasking, etc. He possesses rich knowledge in Angular based projects and Aurelia projects. He has been actively involved in complete application development from analysis to implementation to maintenance of various kinds of applications. He's also looking to striking a balance between operational and functional design and the aesthetics of UI design. He is our alumnus of MCA and he's been a constant support to our department in helping our students in the technology field. We welcome Bharat to the session and I request Bharat to take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon for everyone. And basically, I used to work on Angular in the projects of my previous companies and the existing company. Uh, what happened? I mean, I am too younger to you people. I don't know. I will do so a lot of mistakes. If anything I don't know, I will get back. This is my first session. Lot more to learn, and I'll be walking through with the Angular stuffs. What all I have been worked and how I have learned. So those stuffs I will be explaining. Uh, I'll just share my screen. Basically, I have not prepared any PPT stuff to explain those things. I just come up with the concepts and I'll explain the live, which are the examples available in the Google. Taking that, I will be explaining those concepts of an Angular. So there is a roadmap when we pitch into learn an Angular. So we need to have some predefined skills to be there. So what all things to be there like this for the developers as of we learn the things. If we want to switch to new technology, then we will see what all the required things to be there, and what all the concepts we have in that to read, I mean to go through with that and make the functionalities better. So for that we have one website called roadmap.sh. There will be having what all things to be learned and what all things to be learned before entering to this language. So here we can see while entering to language we need to learn the basic of TypeScript, because this Angular is fully written in a TypeScript, where it's in a super set of a JavaScript. Once TypeScript is compiled, it will compile it back to JavaScript, and it will have the which is fetched by the browsers and running with the browser. Here to learn first the basics of a TypeScript to be known. So these are the concepts like what is TypeScript, why we use the TypeScript, structural typing. This all I will be explaining while coding, how it will convert, what all things are there. These are the basic stuff. I'm just explaining the points. Later on, we'll go in depth with the example. So after, if you know the basic TypeScript, then we will be learning some RxJS basics, like the observable life cycles or promises, like calling to write the asynchronous codes and all. And for the operators, like we have a merge, filter, those things are all there. It's in a library package which all can be reused, installing those things, and consume and make the application faster. And when we come to actual Angular, it's an command line integration where we will run in a command and start our Angular application installation. So when we go with our creating a new application, so it would be like engine new with the project name. So when we give this command ng new with an Angular example, it asks for you need a routing required, and what is the type of a CSS you want to have it in your application. So by that, it will, anytime we create a component, it will add it the default whatever we select. It's a type of a CSS page, extension. It will be adding. So we'll be selecting CSS. After that, it will create the package Angular application with the set of packages and all default packages. This will be running in the background while we get back to the other things. So in the Angular, like we have, it's a package of having the unit testing, unit test cases also we can write. So for running those things, we uses these commands like ng-serve, ng-test, ng-new, ng-build for building a application into a bundle of JavaScript pages, and we deploy those things. Sorry. After that, ng-e2e end-to-end testing, and we have other basics things also. Once we jump into it, how it will run, application will run, those things and all we'll be looking into it. After that, we'll be having a templates and all will be showing with the HTML pages and how we are interacting with the TypeScript, with the data bindings and with the data transfer. Those things and all we can look into it. And for that, we will come into picture like component creation and the template, HTML templates, and how to bundle it for the modules and load it in a lazy way. It should not load at a time of the application. It's called lazy modules. And we have the service injection, dependency injections, and routing. Will the routing comes with the lazy loading module also, we can implement there. These are the things we will learn with the in an Angular. These are the main structures where we use it for having the application running with a component based structure. And we have, there is having two types of forms creation. One is a template driven and another one is a reactive form. Reactive form, basically we say as a dynamic forms creation we uses for that. And template driven is the validation, everything will happen in an HTML, and it will be like directive way also we can have the validations and all. So these things will be going through it. After that, there are like in the UI we want to show some like when we have the concepts called pipes, which makes UI changes without any in a TypeScript, without writing anything. In a pipe, if you write the code and if you just change the values like a date with a string, or we want to show the month, only year, those things and all we can show. Those are all called as pipes, we write it as. And the library creating of an npm package manager, those things also we will be if the time is available, we can look into that, creating how to create a npm packages and install it and run it in our application. Those things also we can look into it. After that, we have a testing Angular apps with this. What all the, for the testing spec files, what all the required things are, like testing pipes, services dependencies, component binding, testing directives, and component templates. These are all the things we have for testing. This is the normal Angular, not in Angular JS. JS is an old version. We have now latest version is Angular 15.1.1. We can use those things from 2 it has started. and it is now 15.1.1. Like for any developer who wants to start the things to learn those things, we can use these things. Roadmap.sh will be having on click, will be having for some of the things they are upgrading, will be having the information and will be having the links. It will take to there and it will explain the things, so we can read it and we can learn it. Not only for Angular, we have for everything. So these are the roadmaps for all the front end. Like for if you want to jump into front end, totally new to front end, then what all things to be run. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and to be known on the internet how it works with the HTTP protocols, hosting, and all the basic things of the internet. After that, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. In this, we have to learn the basic semantic tags and non-semantic tags, like this. For I mean, it's like no one there to guide how to learn. Then we can come to here and we can learn those stuffs. Basically I learned like this. So there are like all the languages. With all the languages, we have the introduction and we have the documentation, everything they are updating. So this we can use. This is the one link which is best for all the languages we have. And let us pitch in to Angular. This is an npm package manager where the plugins are installed from here, from the node. When we install a node.js, the pre-request softwares are, one is node.js. We need to have our have the node.js in our in our system. After that, we need to use Angular to be installed. For installing Angular, here only we can search Angular/CLI. This is the command to install after node.js is installed. When we try to install this, it will be installed in our system. When we are installing Angular, if you want to install globally, then we have to mention -g. This is the command. It will install globally throughout your system. Wherever you go and you can create the Angular applications. Once this is installed, Angular will be available. So after that, we can check the version which is installed. So my Angular version is 15.0.4 when I have installed it. So its dependencies also having with a 15.0.4. This is my Angular version in my system. The latest is 15.1.1. So after installation of an Angular, we will be getting when we type in the help, if we type, we will get what
Sorry
all the
to interrupt, Bharath. Actually, we are not able to see the screen. What about others?
Yeah, Bharat, I think this presentation is not being presented. Can you
till now
stop?
it was not presented.
No, no.
No,
A little
till now
while
it
back,
was there. Just now
was
it we were
gone.
not able to see. Yeah, now we are able to see. Thank you.
Yeah, I have shared again. Oh, basically mine for the checking the version, we have ng version. After that, we will get to know the version what we have installed. And if you want the commands to see what all having with an ng prefix, what all the commands we are available. So for that, we can just ng help. If we do, we will get the commands what all things to do. Ng serve, ng new with an ng new with a name, what are the project name we have to give, and if we start, it will work. These are the commands for the Angular we have. And I have just created with an ng new one project. So ng new with an Angular example. So let me check out to that. The editor I am using is Visual Code. Visual Studio Code I am using. So this is for Angular. It is more helpful. I mean, I have my career based. I use this one only. There are so many editors, IntelliJ, and so many other editors. Also, Codebox is there. Other editors are also there, but this is helpful for me. So when the application is created with an ng new with a project name, this is the folder structure, and these are the files it is created. So to run this application, we need to do ng-serve. And it will ask for analytics to be tracked or not from the Google. If you say no, it will be disabled for the local settings. In global, it is enabled for the other projects. If you want there, we can go and check, add a command to disable it. So my Angular application is running now with the port number 4200. So when I click that, this page is coming. So this is a default page. They have written a set of code for this in the HTML file. And we see like what is main difference in Angular JS and Angular. It's Angular JS was a model view controller structure of an application. These are the component based of application. So the main thing is this is a single page application where when I serve it, you can see when we inspect in a developer console, we can see our what all it's loaded. It's loaded our index.html and it's loaded the app root component. So basically, our application starts from main.ts. So here what happens, uh, when it enters to this file, and it will check what is the bootstrap module. A bootstrap module is a module which loads for the a first page of the first module which runs in our application from our which is our module is an app module. When it goes to an app module, here we will be having the bootstrap component. In the ng module decorator, we will be adding the bootstrap as a key and the value as a component name, which component it has to load for the first time. Okay, so those things are here in the structure. So when I come, this is the way it runs within when I run ng-serve. So in an index.html, what we have is just a plain HTML template till the body. That this is a file icon, and the metadata we have with an width for the responsive, like with the device width of an initial scale for the viewport, and after the title we have, and here we can see in the body there is app root. What it could be, the app root could be. So this is an metadata which is having to a component link the selector. The selector metadata is having the value called app root. This app root we have included there. So this we can change anything we want. Defaultly the app is coming. When we create a project, if we give a prefix, that time we can add it. So when I save it, it will should give an error. Hello root, I have changed it. See here, my compilation ways there is no error in the code, but when we run here, it will be having the error like hello root did not match any element. So once we add it in an index.html, it has to reload, but it is not reloading. So our application is back.
Bharat, sorry to interrupt you. I think the font is very small. I think you can zoom little.
Font once again, madam. System preference.
Thank you, Bharat. Thank you.
I think it's not increasing, right?
Bharat, what you can do is you can hit Command plus, so that just increases on the Visual Studio.
Oh, here also it will increase.
A little bit more if you can bump it up. Yes. Thanks, Bharat.
Yeah, thank you. So like this, we have a link from an index.html to the first component which we are loading. So this is the component where we can see that what we have seen in an app module to load which of the component we need to load. So those things are here. So we can see here in the app module, not only with the bootstrap, we have a declarations as an array and imports as an array. So these are what all these things will do is the declarations are the components which we create. Like when we go here, ngGC component name, whatever we want. It will generate a component and it will update my app module automatically. So we can see the file changes, what all it's create, and the other file is app module is updated. Whatever the components are created, if we want in the main module itself, this is called as a main module. App module is called as a main module. If you want under that itself, then we will import it, those components, into declarations. When we have a when we add it in a declarations, so it will be having those components are available to access it. So when I go here and if I add my component, this child component, in my app component, just remove this. So here you can see the child component works. So like this, we just add a component. We will just this two components lies between one module. So we can add like this. If the components lies between a different module, there is a different approach to import it. We have to add it like this only, but we need to export in that module and import in this module. Those stuffs are there. So I'll be coming into a later. So this is the way we play with a components. And in a component we can see there is a decorator called at the rate of component. So these things will hold the template URL, which is app component.html, and the styles URL, the CSS. Initially, these are the things which called as a metadata, which hold some data, some files data, some data between those files. So even though if we don't use this HTML, if you want to code it here itself, then we have to just use template and a tilde operator. see, it is loading the text whatever I have entered. So it is not taking the whatever the text I have added, whatever the component I have added in the HTML page. So like this, we can write inline itself in the component page itself. We can write HTML, and the styles also we can write it here itself. And we can include a page also. If it is the component is having only less lines of a HTML code, then we can write it in a single page itself. If we are having more than 100 lines, 50 lines of code, then we can go with creating a file and linking those files. This is another way to write like that. So when we come for a data binding, how the data are binded from component to these HTML pages. So we can see this is a variable I have created as a title and an Angular example. So when I go to my HTML page, because I have included my template URL is app component.html. When I go here, and if I change add my variable with the string interpolation, this we called as a string interpolation. We can see here Angular example, the project name which I have given. So there are 4 types of data binding. I will show that. There are 4 types of data binding. One we called as a string interpolation. The string interpolation is whatever the value we have in a TypeScript with a public variable key, the public variable, those values we can bind it in our HTML with these brackets, flower brackets. This is called as an string interpolation. The other type of binding a data is event binding. So when an action appears, when an action happens, at that time when we click on that button or click on a drop down, we want to trigger some data. That time we will have the event data binding. So we'll look into examples one by one. Once event data binding is over, there is another type is called property binding with a bigger brackets. In an HTML we will be having a value with an username is having a string value as a Peter. So once it is it's a property binding, so we don't want to use a string interpolation like flower brackets. If you have any string, in that case you can have it with a single quotes in double quotes. This is a property binding. And we have another one is two-way data binding. For a two-way data binding, we will be having the value which is having in a component and which are having in a HTML template, both has to be changed. So for that we have a two-way data binding called we have ng model as a two-way data binding key attribute. So where we will be having a within a common brackets and with the big brackets, which will be holding like a model dot name will be having some value. If I change it in input, then the value with the backend it will be changing. So these are the things. These are the types of data binding. Let us look one by one how it will work in an application. As of we saw the string interpolation.
Voice is not coming, Bharat.
Oh no, I'm just typing my code.
Okay, okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So when I have my method here, so here we have an error with the button is not closed. So when I load my application, there will be an Angular example. When I click here, for this event, I'm changing the value and it will become hello all. For the same variable title, I have changed on event binding data. So there is a property binding. Even on this click, just we can have title is equals to the value. So it will be changing. So most of the things we can do in the template itself. And another one is property binding. So we can see I have added a property binding with a big bracket. For the input, there is an attribute called value. For the value attribute, I have just added with the brackets. So for this attribute property, we are adding the value for the input things. Like title is the one variable I have added. So for this title, whatever is there, Angular example is the default value. It is there on load of a component. When I click on this, it will change it to hello. So this is a one change. And if we want to add without using any property, property binding, if we want to just remove this bracket, if we remove the bracket and if we add the attribute value, and when I save it, save this, it will give me an error because we can't bind the value, we can't bind the variable value to the attribute because it will take it as a string and it will print as a title itself. So to fix this, whatever the value is in the variable title that has to print means, then we have to give it this string interpolation. So at that time it will work with the value whatever is stored in that variable. So these are the three types. Now we will go with two-way data binding. So here the example is like when I come with this, we will discuss. So we can see here also we have the error with the title, and we can see here in the ng model is not a known property of a input. It's there is a error in the syntax, whatever we see this ng model, right? If we want to use this ng module, we have to include a forms module. There is a dependency for this. If I want to use ng model for a two-way data binding, then I need to include this forms module in my app module. Then only it will work. As of now, we don't have my forms module, so that's why it is throwing me error. So if I want to import it here, import Angular forms. We have to import those modules in the import section. When we save those things, we can see here two-way data binding. It is also having the value, but when I change with this, you can see that it is changing everywhere. Where property binding, we have binded the value variable title, and the string interpolation, we have binded the title. But whatever I remove in the property binding, it's not changing in the string or in the two-way data binding. Why it is happening is there is an interaction for the two-way data binding is a way it will change the value in the component as well as in the HTML template also. But these are the values which will change from the value goes from one side, not from the two side interaction will be there. For the two-way data binding, there will be two side of data interaction. That's why we use two-way data binding. So when we use a form like a registration form or any form, at the time whenever I type values in the input box, that should be saved in a variable, and when we click on a button, it will directly capture the values in a TS file, and it will call as REST APIs, and it will fill the form. So these are the types of data bindings we have in Angular. I mean, I don't know. This is my first time. If anything, don't know. I mean, if any doubts are there, you can ask in between. If anything is there. Okay, fine. So when I come with the next concept is when I come with the uh, lazy loading or a routings, we see in application we will use HTML, href anchor tag with an href with the routing next component to be loaded. Those things here in Angular, it's called as a roots. So the roots will be, just explain. So basically these are the things they have created with the new application is created, and after that they have created the module in the app module, and the generate module, they have created a shop as a new module. Okay, after that we have generated components in the shop module wherever we have. After that we have set of components they have created, checkout, confirm, everything. We write the routes in the routing page or in the module page, wherever it's like based on a size of the route. So if it is more than lines of code, then we will segregate it into separate file and we will write it. After that we just use to navigate, we just use within a router link. In a template we will give the router link and we will just navigate. So let us write the routers in the routing page. So here, where is our router is, we can see here app routing.module.ts. This is having a the default code, and the routes are empty as of the application we generate a new application. That time it will be an empty array with the routes. So, and for this creating a routes, we need a plugin called Angular Routes. This is a default plugin in an Angular having a submodule called routes. In the routes they have written these classes, the router modules and routes. Based on this we will be writing the routing paths. So here we can give the path what it can be. After that, here we have to import the component, what component it has to load. So I have created one component called child component. So we can import that itself. Here we will get, once we keep on typing, we will get in the index what are the preferences for that text. We can see here that the child component is there. This is the class name of the child component, and when I click on enter of this, the component is loaded here, which is imported. And so I have created a path called shop. With that shop will be having the component is linked, and with that component it will load when I load the URL. So when I go here, I change it to child. Is throwing me back because I have not saved, and it is root module imported. So there is no error, but it's not loading. Why it's so? Then we have to check it here, it is imported or not in the app module. So we have here app routing module, and in the app component in the app routes we have a child. Default route will be empty. For that we will load an app component. Routes are exported. So there is no difference. So we will add a link and we will check it. Why it's not loading. Let's have an anchor tag. With a router link. As a child. It's not loading. So it should add the code is correct, and when we see here in the documentation also there is some issue. My router is happening here. This is because we'll check by adding those things. Once I have added this, there will be here we have another if the URL doesn't match, then we can take that to a default component. Like we see some of the websites will be having 404 not found. So these pages are loaded when the roots are not matched. So for that we have to give wildcard path as a double star, and the component, whatever the component we want to design for that, like not found page to be designed. So if we want to design those things, then we can give that component name here to which of the component to be loaded. So when the URL doesn't match, there is no issue in the code. Let us see. Path is empty, component is loaded. Imported and exported the router module with the forward routes. Routing module is imported. Things. So it is run my application. Why my components are not switching? Let us come back with this afterwards, because no need to time kill, because my code is correct. When we see the documentation and all, whatever is there, code is clear, and crispy thing, we have imported those components and we have added the path with the component name and the component. And here we'll be this is a child module, that's why they are using a for child. Since we are using it in a root module, so we are using as a for root. So for root with the roots, this is our my path, and with the things. So we have added correctly. Let us check with the last. We keep it it as a last, and we check what is an issue, and we'll fix it. So after that, we'll be having the another concept called that there are directives. So the directives are like, we can say, there will be like hide and show things we need to show, and we need to change the css for the some of the things, and we need to see, we need to print if this is not there, and this one we need to print else condition, if else condition, ng switch also we have. So like that we have two types of directives, where we will be having a structural directive and attribute directive. So those things we will look into it. So when I go here, Angular types, when I search with Angular directives, so we will be getting what are the built-in directives in an Angular. So as I said, there is an attribute directive and then a structural directive. Second one is a structural directive. So how it is used and what are the things in an attribute directive will come, and what all things will be lying in structural directives. Let us see. So there is an attribute directive. It's like a design changes where we want to change some of the designs. There we can have these structural directives. So sorry, attribute directives that are ng style and ng class. We can see here within a property binding, we have ng style attribute. So this attribute will be having the values which need to be appended to the div element, or a whatever the element we are using, table or h3, wherever we want we can give, just we can have it. So when if I want to have it for a div, so we can see here what all the things we have added for the styles that are applied here. This is an attribute directive which changes in an application. That too, we can have a dynamic things to be shown here. If you want, we can show in with a dynamic. So once, let me add the condition. So here I have the value. If the title whatever we see the title, if it is there, I will add 450px, or else this is a conditional operator I am writing for the width. For the width property, I am adding a title for the title. If the title does have a value, then it should take 450px, or else it should take 100px. Should be mistake. So when I save this, and in an app component.ts, the default value, whatever is there, I will just empty it. So now when I see here, the width it has taken as an 100px. So we can see here the width it has taken as an 100px, because the title value doesn't have any, for the title variable doesn't have any value. That's why it is taking 100px. Once I click this event binding, the value will be added to that variable title. So that time it will increase to 450px. The dynamically, if you want to change any design changes or CSS design and CSS changes, we can use this ng class and ng style attributes, attribute directives. So it will make it will be helpful. So this is on its this one styles. We'll go for ng class. So here we can see there is a table class which they are adding for table HTML element. So here they have written, this is the class name. They have written in CSS page with the font size and all. So what it happens if I add this same code? So it says the data are not available. Let us comment this as of now. Will come later. So it is compiled successfully. And we can see here the things which doesn't have, it is having a table class, but we will see here the default table values, not the whatever we have here, because we didn't add yet this table class to our CSS file. Table, whatever I have added the font size, this table is not displaying because the color is, we don't have any data, right? That's why border. So this is the one which is having 24px of the size of the font. These things we have added with an ng class. This also we can have based on a condition, whatever we want. So if the title is there, then add this. If not, just an empty. Okay, see, we can see here, once again, I will just change the color. So we can see here the title doesn't have any value, though that's why it is like the class is not taken for this table. We can see here that class is not taken, it's an empty I have given. So for the ng class we don't have any value. So once I click on this event binding, I will be having a value. So then it is adding my table class. This is the way we add attribute directives dynamically, and we can just use those CSS changes or design changes in an application. So then we come to structural directives. The structural directives are ngif, ng for, and ng-switch. These are the things we uses here. So when I see in the template, we will see here ng4 is there. ng4 is used to run an array variable, like array of values are there. That one we want to loop it one by one, one by one, one by one. So for that we use ng4. So I have just commented my code in my app.component.html. Here we are having the technology variable. With the technology variable is an array of values, array of objects, and it is having a temporary variable called data to iterate the each object, and it's a key name. We will bind it here. So as of now, it is saying that technology is not available in an app component. So because we have not created any variable in our TS file, that's why it is throwing an error. So let us create a array of array of objects. So once I have the values with an object's key and things, so when I save these things, it will be loaded in my application one by one, one by one, one by one. We can see here. So now I don't want to display the 2 years one. The experience level who are having a 2 years, I don't want to display. Rest everyone I need to display in the table. So for that case, we need to have a condition. Previously we were writing in we were filtering those things and we were binding it there. So instead of that, we have a ngif directives. So that directive will stop that if the value is 2 years, it will stop there itself and it will not execute the next line of comments, and it will come back. So I will just give here before this. So I will add here in the if is equals to the data dot, you can see it here. The data, this is an array with a temporary variable, will be having a iteration of each object for the data. Data dot experience level, I will take the key experience level not equal to the value this 2 years. So what happens here, whatever the value it is having 2 years, it will not go and print this th. If it is having value with other values, then it will go and print it. So we can see last time it was having, we are having the, in the technology, we are having 3 objects, but it is printing only 2. This is the things it will print for this case. So this is ngif and ng4 things, how it will work. So if we want to see, then we can go with ng-switch also. So ng-switch will be having the same thing like a if-else condition, whatever we want, as if we have in a JavaScript switch case, right? So same like it will be. So that will be like this. So here we can see the parent div element will be having a ng switch attribute key that will be having the value, and if the case is 10, then it will be the whatever the case, the count value whatever is coming for that count, it will print the values. So if I want to take this example, so here the count will be entering from, let us enter from, I will create a variable called count with an empty, and I will just add it to my two-way data binding. So when I come here, in my two-way data binding, whatever I enter, the value is 10. If it is 100, if it is 101, is not 10 or 100. We have added two conditions. One is 10 and another one is 100. If I enter at 10, then it will print your value is 10. And this also we can have string interpolation with a count. So instead of hard coding, it will print the value. So if I enter other values, your value is not 10 or 100, it will be printing. This is the switch case. And we have attribute directives and structural directives. Then we can have another directive is a where we will be uh, where we'll be using these things like which is not available from an Angular side. Then we have to write it from our side and we need to validate some of the things. So for that, let us take an example. There is an online editor with a stack list. We will be getting so more examples with the actual code with the users has been given, and they have been adding these things like uh, examples, and they will be giving the solution for us. So this is a form. So the values which are having here, they are printing it. Let us take the custom directive one which is there. So there is so here this is a template driven form. There are two types of form creation, that is, one is reactive form and another one is template driven form. So this is the example for template driven form. So here we can see that this password and confirm password, if the both values are not same, password doesn't match, it is saying if the value doesn't match with the password and confirm password. For this, we have written a custom directive. So when we see here, each element is having the parent div as this one. So each element will be having the HTML element and we'll be having below that the condition if the value, I mean the drop down value is filled it or not, or the value is there or not, and if it is touched and if we come back, it's a required or not. These things all we can check it here below, and we can display the message whatever we want. So here we can see here title is required is there. So this is coming when I clicked on register button. There is a in a form tag there is a method called ng submit. This what happens, so when I click on this register button should be a type of type should be a submit. Then what happens, it will take the method which is declared in the form tag as an ng submit. If the button type default button type will be the submit. If you if we had a type and if we change it to click or button menu reset submit, if we change it, it will be changing, but default one it will be as a submit. So once we click on that, it will be checking for the whole forms the values are entered or not. So when I click on this, it will make as valid the elements HTML elements. What all things we need to add is, one is we are using an ng model, then for the module it should be imported forms module. This is the one thing which we have to import first. After that, once I add this, what is this title will give, this is this what happens if I remove this. Then when I click on register, there is an error. It is throwing out the property is not matching in the invalid key. This title, whatever you see here, the title dot invalid is there, right? This is not matching because we don't have anything with that title key. So when we add that, based on this key, we will be writing if it is a invalid or if it is touched. Those things we will be adding. So here I will be adding another one, title dot so we can see here other things. When I touch it and go back without entering any values, it will not be there. Title dot dirty. Oh, sorry. I need to add this condition. Title dot it's giving for reactive. So whenever we file things to file the, I mean, we fail to work it out, make the things work, then we will go with the Stack Overflow or any of the suggestions. Yeah, given. This is a CSS changes for that. So basically there is for touch and dirty things, for that the error will come. So here we were discussing about the validators. This is a validator, this is a directive, this is a custom directive where we have imported in the form level must match. For this directive, we have the selector name as a must match. So we have taken this selector and we have given this must match, and we are passing the values are password and confirm password. That are the values here. Whatever the ng model we have given, that password we are taking, and the confirm password of the next elements we are giving to this directive. And here what happens in the directive, uh, there they are taking with the must match with the 0 and 1, and it is having the, we have imported the validator must match, where it will pass the values to that form group. And what happens here, uh, it will check for the values, it will take from the controllers, and it will take it and it will just add it, and it will check it for the values are matching or not, and it will return null. If not, it will return the true. If there is any doesn't match the values, then it will be returning the value. This is in a reactive where we have a form group and form control. Those things will be coming. They have added the validator, reactive validator, and they are validating here in this example. So here we'll be having in the template driven. In this we can add the directive. In from that directive we'll be taking the reactive form for form group, and it will be taking as a validators from there, and it will be checking it is matching or not. Whatever we want, we can write it in the validators, and we can check the values are matching or not. Here they are checking for that one only, the value which is matching or not, matching control value and the control. This is control one is for from password, this one is from uh, this one like confirm password one, and both the values are saved it here in the const, and they are checking the by the if condition and returning the value. These things they are doing. So once I fill all those things, sorry, there is some. So what is happening here is, once I click on submit form, once the form is validated, and once I click on submit form, here once I come here, we will see that they are stringifying the this dot model, and they are printing. So this JSON.stringify will make the model to a string, and it will just print it in a alert message. Whatever I have entered, it will come here. So we will be having these types of components, and uh, level of the routings. I have completed the forms. Let us go for a reactive form where we will be having so here for the reactive form, as if for the template driven form, we have included have a forms module. For this, we have to include reactive forms module with Angular forms. And here from our reactive form module, we'll be having uh, the things like dynamic form creations, and dynamically we can delete the form elements. Those things we can do it here. So here they are creating one sign up form with a new form group, and they are adding the keys. User data is one. For that, we are creating an array again, which is holding the form controls of username and password. They are grouping these two elements, username and email. These two elements they are grouping into user data. So once they group it, it will be lying under this. So we can check it here. So once this component loads, we'll be having the controls. Under that controls, we'll be having user data. We can see the hierarchy. In the user data, we have the another controls called username and email. So it has grouped to the user data. These controls are grouped to this user data, and we can see that gender is a form control, so it will be under independent one. It's not grouped with anyone. It's grouped with the parent for the sign up form itself. The sign up form holds this value, these keys, and gender and hobbies. Hobbies are in a form array. These all things are package of a reactive form module. So this all will be loading from the angular.forms. These all things are imported in a component. Wherever we want to use there, we need to include this. And the required validators, max length and min length. What are the default validations are there? Those things can be have with these validators dot with the value. We can see here required max length, min length with the email. So once we have the validators key with the dot, we will get the whatever the things they are present in the default validators. If not, we have to write with a custom validators with the method which we have written, which they have written here as a forbidden names. Once come to here, and if we check for the index value is not equal to -1, I mean the value doesn't present with this variable. We have here Gita and Puja. If doesn't present in this array, it will not return names forbidden true or not. So it is checking for index. If it is not equal to -1, then it will print it. If not, it will just print a null value. So here when we go and check it, what are the values, how it will be stored in the HTML, how they have written. As there we saw in the form for the template driven, there is a ng form. Here we'll be having a form group as an attribute here, and we are loading the variable which is holding the form group. as a sign up. So after this, when I move forward with next, for the first one, for the we will check it for hobbies gender. So here we have the genders. Genders is a for loop they have used because male, female they have added, that they have taken it from the genders array. Here we can see the genders array, right? So in this genders array, we are taking it and we are just looping those things, and we are added here a form control name. This is a attribute which holds the key, the form controls of that key gender. If this value is changed, then we have to go and change it here also. So because the value which are typed under, which are selected like male and female, I'm selecting the those value will be saved under this variable, this key, gender key. So this is the way they do for individual for the parent grouped elements. For that they will do like this. If not, if they have like a user data, under user data we have username and email, right? In that cases what happens, we will be having another attribute called form group name. What this form group name will hold, this will take it as like user data is a group. Under that group there will be another controls. So that controls will be adding here with the form control name whatever the username, and we have the email. So these are the things we have under user data under the form group. So we need to write it like this. And for error check, we will be having, once we return a form control name, we will be getting this sign up form dot get the values whatever the user data dot username is dot errors. The errors will be here in the object. When I go to that control, when I go with the username, we will check here. There is an errors key. Under the errors key, name is forbidden true is coming. So we are checking here name is forbidden or not. This is the one we are checking here, and if it is true then it will come here. So if I had it, so when I change those things, when I see here I have changed the name, username. So the errors are 0. You can see here the errors are null. So once I remove this Gita, it will, if it comes, so we can see here the error is there. So the value will come once I click on submit. We can see here user data, controls, username. With the errors, there is an object called name forbidden true. So these things are with an if condition. We will get the value. If the names forbidden is there in an errors, then we will print the value. If not, if it will be a null, so it will be no value, then it will, we will not print those things. So this is a reactive form. So I think, any doubts, or let us go with the routing. We will check that. Hello. 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 No one replying. Okay. So as of that, whatever we have done for routing, right, it was not working in my local. So same thing we will be doing here in the app routing module. We'll be just having the router modules with a root login with a component name, and this is the default route. If the pages roots are not found, it will take to login page. Like example, we can see here login is loaded, and when I click on home, the home with the component home view will be loaded, and when I click on catalog, the catalog will be loaded. But if the URL doesn't match, the URL doesn't match, it is resetted to login. So that redirects to login here. So this is what uh, the routing is. So here, when we see the HTML page, here they have written a inline HTML template there itself in the component. Here they are using router link with an login and the router URLs with a slash. And this router link active is nothing but the class name which is written in the CSS file active color change. So now we are in login page, those so that color changed here. So when I click on home, the color changes for the home and for the catalog. So now for the CSS changes, we use this key like router link active, whichever active, then we will load that class name. So here we will be having another one is lazy loading. This is not the one. Angular losing. So what is the concept of lazy loading is uh, when I start my application, example, see this my stack bliss is loading. When my stack bliss is loading, it's my router URL, root URL, and it is not loaded. My application, when you see here, there is a customers component, customers component dot ts. So when I search it in my source, basically it's a compiled one. basically what happens, till I go to these customers, this module will not be loaded. Under this module, there is a path import with a path name of that module and that class name. Module class name will be added here. When I go for a customers, when I click on a customers, it will load to this component where it comes to this component, and it will check. There is a routing module for this also. So when I check with a routing module, if the path doesn't have anything, then it's a customer component, it will load. Okay, till this module loads, that component will not be loaded in an application. That is the feature called lazy loading modules. So the application at a time, it has to come up to the view. It has to download like 10 MB or 20 MB of a data. uh, Doing that at a time, it will take the waiting time for the load the website will be more. So when we use this lazy module concept, when the router, whatever the routers matches with that module, that components will be loaded at that time. So like example, if 100 components are there, 100 components loading at a time, it will take more time. When we make it as a module wise architecture, lazy module architecture, then what happens, in that one module there will be 10 components. So the 10 components will load at the time when the router matches with that module. So this is the way it will come, the lazy module concept for the routers. So now we will go for sharing a data between one component to another component. Uh, like we have with the input and output decorators, we have that option, and we have another option called for sibling components like unrelated components. If we want to share the data, then we have with the service behavior subject, we will use it and we will just share the data. So there are types of data sharing. This is the one, like if you want to share in a data from parent to child, then we have at view child operate decorator, and at input and at output decorator. So we can use those things and we can share the data between one component to another component which is related to same module. The components are related to same module, and which is uh, injected in the parent HTML template. If there is no interaction with the component, other component, like in another module it is there, then if we want to import it, if we want to share the data from here to there, then we use a behavior subject. So once we see the parent to child sharing data via input, so here what is happening, in one component they are adding the this is my child component. In a parent component, I'm just adding my selector of a child component, and I'm just sending the value from here to there, from the parent component to child component. So when I add those things, so with an example, like when I add it here, so in the child component, after this we have to go to child component and we need to use input decorator. The input decorator means that it is inputting some value from the parent component as a message. The values which we added here, Once we add that, after that, if we bind those value, string message doesn't have any initialization value, so the default value should be there. So after that, when I add it here in my template, so nothing is there because I have binded the title. The title doesn't have any string. So here we can see the in an app component, I'm just having the value like app child component, the children component. From here, I'm just sending the value to this message attribute where it is accepted as an input decorator. It is inputting the value from my parent component, and default it is empty, but when the value changes, at that time we will be getting the messages here, updating the messages. Like example, when we add a so when we add the value, so this is my child component data. So when I click here, it will change the value, whatever the data I pass it again, it will change the value. So this is from parent to child. If I want to do it same thing from child to parent, then we have to use at output decorator, where in my child component I need to use an output decorator, and we need to emit the value that will be taken. The value will be taken from a child component to parent component within an event data binding. So when I add this at output decorator, and when I have here change the change the message method with this dot the variable event emitter variable with dot emit the value I am emitting the value from here. So once I emit the value from here, I need to just go to the parent component where it is my app component. From here, I need to bind the value with the message event and add my local method of a parent method catch message with a event argument. So when I go to, I have just added a method here, and when I in a TS, I need just add the method with an event or any value here, and just I will bind it to this title is equals to it is asking for data type, that's why the error is. We can give the specified data types also, or if we don't know in the data type, I mean the data of that method, the value which is coming, it can change anytime, string to number, number to object or anything. So in that time we can give any. So once I come here to the child component, I need to have a button. Change the message with click. So as of now, we have a passing data to child. So when I click the method in a child component, button in a child component, it is saying child to parent data transfer. So I'm changing the value from child, then it is appearing in my parent component. So this is the way we do the parent to child data transfer. We have another one called sibling transfer with the service with the behavior subject. So that will be having here. For that, we need to write the service file. In the service file, we'll be having a variable with a new behavior subject, which holds the default value. And the behavior subject and the subject, it's an RxJS properties. So where behavior subject will holds the first default value, the subject doesn't holds any default value. It can be empty also. So once this is having this private message source as will be having a default message that we are making as an observable. So whenever the sibling components want to use the value of this uh, observable variable, then there we will go it and we will just import the service first. We can see here the service name is data service. When we import the data service, after importing a data service, we will just have in a constructor, we will inject that data service and we will have the private variable for the component, and we will just use this dot data dot current message. The current message will be having the value of an observable like message source behavior subject value. So once we subscribe the observable, current message is an observable. So we are just subscribing those that thing, and we are just taking the value of the message. Okay. So if I want to change the value, then in any of the component, we need to just add we need to add just change the use the method in a data service. First we need to include the data service, import the data service. After that we need to inject that. After injecting, we need to just use this dot data and change message. Change message is a method which is written in service file. This is a change message which is written in a service file. It is accepting one string value, and we are just changing the message, the next value of this message source of this behavior subject. So whoever subscribes, then the value will be updated for them also. It's keep on subscribing the value, it will be updated there also. So this is a data sharing between the components and the sibling components. So there are still the elements called ng container, ng content, and ng template, and we have the lifecycle hooks, and we have how to include the models like interface. We are creating the interfaces and we are just implementing those things. Those other concepts are there still. So as of time is up, I'm just stopping here. Is any questions till here?
Dear faculty, do you have any questions for regarding the session? Anybody has any questions?
They have mentioned no, and sorry, I have made so many glitches because I have not
No.
prepared with the PPTs and all. So I have just explained whatever my experience level, whatever I have done. Those things I have been explained. So next time will be better. I will be preparing the PPT slides.
Sure. So thank you all the faculty for joining this session. And first of
And
all,
I have
tell
some
me, Bharat.
information. Sorry, stopping.
No, Bharat, please continue.
So I'm sharing my screen, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
all of
right
you
now
can,
your screen is
yeah,
not shared.
yeah, I'm just sharing my screen. So the company which I work is a Toronto, which is engaged with a organization called XStep. XStep is an Nandan Nilekani's office. It's his office. So the main motive of our company works on the government projects where other mobile app, and we can see the Diksha. Diksha is a website which came under COVID time for learning purpose. So this is the one like a Udemy course from K-12, like kindergarten to 12th standard. We can see their courses. I mean, there's chapter wise. There will be under end of the chapter there will be a QR code. So based on that QR code, we will get data to learn. This is in a huge for the government of India. We have done with the egg step community. That's a big thing. Whatever the things we are developing, it's a DPG, like a digital public goods service. So it's a open source application. Anyone can use, anyone can contribute, so can explore these things. This is what we do in our Toronto Technologies. We are doing for UP government, we are doing for India, we are doing for Haryana. So many states we are doing these programs. I mean, we are creating for their flexible way, we are creating the applications. So this is a open source community. We can use for this for children's and all. So explore those things. Toronto Technologies. This is our profile.
Okay. Toronto. Yeah. Okay.
We were with the government as a client-based client company. We just work for Sweden, Norway, their projects also, and India is another market for us.
Okay.
So we are like with the portfolio with these companies. We are working with Ola and all. So this is our company, and you can explore our Diksha, and for the children's we can give for guidance. I mean below 12th.
Okay. Thank you for the information. Definitely, if you can post the link of that website in the chat so that it's easy for people to just go and explore.
Yes, yes.
Just post that URL.
That's it from my side. Thanks for everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Bharat, for your valuable time. I know you have taken 2 hours of your time and you have shared your valuable knowledge with all of us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
But the faculty did not have any question. If they wanted any questions, kindly post it. We will definitely pass it on to Bharat Kumar.
I think Bharat has left, maybe some technical glitch from his side.
He is there, ma'am. He is there.
I'm here.
Some
He's
other
a-
Bharat Kumar left. Okay. Fine. Oh, I think presentation stopped, right? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bharat, for the knowledgeable session.
Thank you, madam.
Faculties, any questions?
Okay, then let's wind it. Thank you, everyone.
Bharat has left.
No, he's there.
Yeah, I forgot the appreciation certificate. Ma'am, can you see the certificate?
Yeah, I can see, but I think he left, I think, right, Bharat?
Okay.
Bharat, are you there? He said thank you and he left, I think.
Okay, so
You're conveying vote of thanks, Vatsala, now?
I've already conveyed, ma'am.
Okay.
So, dear faculty, kindly join tomorrow with the same link.
Same link at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Vatsala. Thank you, Sandeep.